Oh baby, here we go. I'm also in voice call if you want to tier to brew something. Or check the pirate deck. I suppose we should do all of that. Let's start with Tom's deck list. I don't have a lot of wild cards yet. I've been trying to, in my off time, do as much limited as I can to build up my collection so that it's easier to brew all the stuff we want to brew. But the problem is I've been so backlogged with other work for sponsor projects and other games and all sorts of stuff. So I haven't had as much time to do. Normally, I would have been drafting nonstop all week, and along the way been able to push out a couple standard brews, just because of all the influx of cards coming in from all the drafting. But I haven't really. I've done an okay amount, but I haven't really done as much as I really wanted to. Not even close. So I'm kind of trying to play catch up right now. But I think we can bang out a deck tech for tomorrow, and then by Tuesday, I think we can get a ton of drafts under our belt and get everything we need to start popping off. Get back to where I want to be right now. Alright, so let me take a look at Tom's deck. It's an Is It Cycling deck. Oh, this is the commander deck you told me about, right? For some reason I thought you were showing me a different deck, like a second deck, Tom. So this is the one for your commander deck in paper. Damn, man. Let's view visual stacks by mana value. So Captain Howler, discard, unblockable, draw. Makes sense. Some of the normal stuff, you know, Arcane Signet, etc. Lots of captains in this deck. Captain, my captain. This one's kind of interesting. Is this just to go with some of your pirate synergies, I assume? Because it doesn't have any discard payoffs. Cathartic Reunion makes sense. Crashing Drawbridge, huh? That's an interesting one. Holds them off for a turn or two, and then all of a sudden, all your stuff has haste. Hey, what's up, boss? Trying to Stinger, go for blood, grab the prize. Inti makes a lot of sense. Lightning Strike, just gotta run it, I guess. Now, is this actual... This is actual paper commander, right? This isn't like Brawl? Broadside Barrage. Fractured Sanity. I'm really surprised I don't see any Madness cards. Madness cards have to be legal in Commander, right? Steam Core Scholar. No Kiora either. You gotta play Kiora. If you're playing the Scholar, you gotta play Kiora. Right? You should definitely put Kiora in. I'm not saying take out the Steam Core Scholar for it, But if you had no other card you wanted to take out, I feel like Kiora is at least an upgrade to the Steam Core Scholar. That's where the Madness stuff could come in, honestly. There's some decent Madness removal and stuff, if I remember correctly. A Madness removal card would be sick. Pitch it, trigger your Captain Howler, and get rid of the thing that's going to block the thing that you use the trigger on, so that you can make sure you get through and draw a card. All in one card. That seems like it would be pretty cool. Oh, I hear the rice getting crazy. Give me a second, guys. I'm cooking rice for the doggos, and I heard it bubbling over. Flood pits makes sense. Trade the helm. I feel like you should also add all of the cycling triomes that have Izzet in their color pairings. So the Grixis one, the Jeskai one, the Temur one. You can't run lands in Commander, Finn? Wow, I didn't know they were that strict. That's crazy. I thought you could at least run the lands. Damn. That's wild. A lot of very cool ideas here. You definitely want a Kiora. You need some removal, and I think it should probably be in the form of Madness, just to double up on your synergies. I don't remember off the top of my head what kind of Madness removal there is. I know there's got to be at least a bounce, burn, and 2 burn spells. Right. But yeah, we can work on a version at some point, Tom. I don't really have time tonight to get into the weeds with Commander, but I wanted to at least look at it, see what you have cooking. I think it looks pretty crazy. But Kiora should definitely be in there, and I do think you should look into some of the Madness cards. And like Finn said, you need some removal in there. But if you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone and have that removal be in the form of Madness cards, that might be pretty cool. Blasphemous Act. Yep, that'd be a good one. Wait, is that red? I think that's red. Let me get into the voice chat with Finn really quick. Alright. Boyos. Hello, Finn. The Finnish Dragon! You changed your icon again. I missed the old one. The one you just had was perfect. It was the same colors as mine and everything. But no. You had to go and ruin it. Are you, like, muted or something? Finn, are you alive? I can't hear nothing. Yeah, Narset's good too. Yeah, we gotta figure out the Finn thing. User volume. Not muted. I think it's on your side, Finn. You're not muted. Your user volume's at a normal amount. I could crank it, I guess. See the green border? So it's picking it up and just not putting it through? I mean, what could it possibly be? I don't have anything shutting it off. Look at that. How about now? You can hear me? Voice and video in Discord. Hi. Hey there. You're an all-star. Get your game on. Go play. All servers. Blah, 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 blah. Global attenuation. I have no idea, man. It's definitely the output. I mean, I hear my music coming out of my speaker. I hear all of my sounds coming out of my speaker, I just don't hear your voice. So that... my speaker is connected to my microphone. That's why it says default speakers on the HyperX Quadcast. So I have a audio cable running out of my mic into a little mobile speaker that I have plugged in specifically so that I don't have to use headphones, but it's just a small speaker that I have aligned at the right spot in comparison to my pickup pattern on the microphone so that it picks it up the least, and I just keep it kind of low so that I don't have to use headphones. And it's on. All of the sound that I normally get at the right volumes I normally get it is all coming out of it. So I don't know what it could possibly be. I don't know what it could possibly be. Let me try leaving and coming back. Actually, I kind of remember we had an issue like this. And I left and came back. And it was fixed. How about now? Nope. It says voice connected. I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with it. Very weird. Very, very weird. Alright, let's open whatever packs we got saved up and see what we pull. I managed to pull 3 freaking Ketramos from something. So I'm thinking maybe just to tide us over until I can get a bunch more drafts under my belt, we might build something with Ketramos. Although that is a 4th possession engine. And I think we have multiple Curse Cloth wrappings too. Let me take a look at what I was trying to brew while I fell asleep last night. Because I was definitely in the middle of trying to brew something and fell asleep doing it on my tablet. I believe it was a cycling deck. Flickerfest. Flickerfest? Was it Flickerfest? I guess I really did fall asleep because it didn't save. See what Finn's been working on. Yaricles. Pirate vehicles? Das ist pirate vehicles. 4 marauding Mako. 4 spell pierce. 4 sky rays. 3 Captain Storm. Why is everybody trying to use so much Captain Storm? What am I missing? Are there really enough artifacts that play into the discard synergies? See, Boosted Sloop is okay. Breaches is okay. Be nice if it made you discard. Outside Barrage, Corsair Captain, Fearless Swashbuckler, Lifecraft Engine, Thopter Fabricator. There are a lot of things that can trigger that Fabricator, so I guess that's smart. Only 8 vehicles though, huh? Well, I guess Chandra can make them as well, so 10. That might be enough. Just need to add Cauldron to take advantage of what you're discarding. Oh god, now you're going in a whole different direction. What am I killing tonight? I have no idea, Jeffrey. This is one of Finn's decks. My mod and editor. We're taking a look at it. We'll probably build something like it pretty soon. I was actually interested in trying to build like a pirate tribal type thing back when Foundations came out because of Corsair Captain. But I don't have the Corsair Captains yet. I don't know if I want to waste wildcards on it when a new set is out. But we'll see. So many 3-drops. Yeah, maybe. $23 drops. It's a lot of 3-drops. Unless you kind of like work with it. There are certain cards that care about 3-drops, right? But I think there's some pretty cool stuff you could do. I think you want to find it'd be really nice to have a 1-drop or 2-drop vehicle. If you could play a creature on 1 or 2 and a vehicle on 1 or 2, and then slam the Swashbuckler on turn 3 and be able to use its ability immediately, that'd be kind of cool. I mean, obviously you got the Lifecraft engine, which can act as both, which is really, really nice. The 3-drop trap. Yeah, there's definitely some traps. Interesting though. I like it. We're gonna try to brew flicker shenanigans. Let me see. Parting Gust specifically hits a creature. We can flicker and draw off of Ketramos and Satoru. Right? Or we can just exile their thing and still draw off of Ketramos. So Parting Gust is going to be really, really good. I don't know if Collector's Cage is good enough. Really not sure. Same thing with Fortune. So let's walk all this stuff back. Zoraline, not good with flickering, but it can get back our stuff out of the yard if they get rid of it. Let's put that over here too. We want at least one Abuelo. Cryptic Coat's good because if we play it after a Satoru, we just draw a card off the Satoru because technically a card comes into play without being cast. And we can just keep bouncing the Cryptic Coat back to our hand and doing it over and over and over again. But it's not super good with Ketramos. That being said, Guardian of Girapur is, if we flicker the Cryptic Coat, when it leaves play, it'll draw us a card off of Ketramos. When it comes back into play, it will cloak and draw us a card off of Satoru, which is really, really nice. We've got some other decent flicker targets and flicker enablers, so Twining Twins is another thing that can flicker. The problem is all the best cards that flicker only target creatures. That's the biggest problem. That is 100% the biggest problem in this deck. I don't think we want to go with birds. Although the thing about Salvation Swan is it can enter, flicker something, and then if we flicker the swan, we can flicker something again. I don't know how relevant that would end up being, but we've also got Flesh Gorgers can come down on 3 and then be flickered into their big selves. But that might be a little bit much. The Viper seems like much. Harvester seems like much. Shield seems like much. let's take a look at other exile, target, return cards. So we got Charming Prince back, but again, it can only hit creatures. Still might be good though. Whatever we exile with this draws a card off of Ketramos when it leaves, and then draws a card off Satoru when it comes back. We can exile the thing that Cryptic Coat cloaks, we just can't exile the coat with it. Same thing with Parting Gust. But we can target it because it's an artifact. Guardian of Girapur can hit artifacts. We can target it with the Guardian of Girapur, which is nice. So, Satoru specifically draws cards off of creatures entering that weren't cast. Ketramos specifically draws cards off of things exiling. So we want creatures. We also maybe want more Cloak Etrata. Etrata could be good. It would draw off of Satoru. It wouldn't really draw off Ketramos because we'd be exiling from their deck. Let's see if we have any Manifest. Unidentified Hover Ship. When it enters, it can draw off of Ketramos. If we exile our own creature, we draw off of Ketramos. And then when the hover ship leaves play, we get to manifest and draw off of Satoru. So it might be good, like, after we're already done using a good ability, like say the Charming Prince is just sitting there as a 2/2. We hover ship our own Charming Prince to draw off of Ketramos. And then if the hover ship dies, we draw off of Satoru. Splash Portal for a 1-mana flicker. We should check that out. What about Oculus? If we play it the fair way, we get to draw off of Ketramos by exiling stuff from our graveyard. We could also end up cloaking it off the Cryptic Coat and then flickering it to get it actually into play. But every single turn, it manifests red and draws off of Satoru, which seems good. So, like, maybe? Problem is, we have no way of really filling up our graveyard in this deck, so it's like, if we have one in our hand, it's just kind of sitting there forever, right? I think we'd have to really change a lot about the deck. In order to make the Oculus work. Cursed Windbreaker is like a baby version of Cryptic Coat. Return a non-land permanent to its owner's hand and manifest dread. That could be kind of cool. We could bounce back our Charming Prince to get to use it all over again if we wanted. Or just slow our opponent down with removal and still manifest dread. I think that's worth considering. It probably won't make the cut at the end of the day, but I think it's worth considering. When you unlock this door, surveil 2. That's not good enough. that's not good enough. Dissection tools is kind of cool, but it only really manifests once. Which is probably not good enough. What about disguise? That's another one that can put things into play. Unyielding Gatekeeper, huh? When it's turned face up, exile a non-land permanent. See, that's not going to be great because we're trying to flicker things. Yeah. I think the disguise stuff isn't going to work so well for us. I mean, just getting to play something face down will draw off of Satoru. But it doesn't really draw off of Ketramos. We really want to focus on flickering, right? I think we're getting like sidetracked into looking at too much like cloak and manifest stuff. What we really need to find is things that are worth flickering to get value out of. Hey, what's up, Lightning? What are the best creatures to flicker? We got to figure that out right now. Cool cat greeter. You're welcome. That's Neville. Neville's the man. We're not worried about turning on Ketramos as a creature. We're just using it as a draw engine. I mean, sometimes it will get turned on, especially if we are up against other decks that are using exile removal and stuff. They can turn on our Ketramos for us because it counts stuff that they have exiled. But it might be nice. Actually, you just gave me an idea. Hold on. So each time we exile with the Ghost Vacuum, we draw off of Ketramos. And if we finally sack the Ghost Vacuum, all that stuff coming into play will draw a card off of Satoru. It puts the actual card into play, which is kind of sick. Well, we do want to find a way to cross-pollinate the synergies a little bit. Like, this deck's never going to be a turn-on Ketramos as quick as possible deck. But it would be nice to still have it as a viable option. Ghost Vacuum could be cool. Maybe we run one Ghost Vacuum. Battles. would be really cool too if they turn into a creature. Let's try and check battles out. Battles that turn into a creature on the other side. Search your library for an aura, god, demigod, reveal it, put it into your hand. We could use this to fetch up Ketramos. We could use it to fetch up Ketramos. We could use it to fetch up a Shelter by Ghosts. And if when it flips into a Farah, it's a card being exiled, so it will draw off Ketramos. When it comes back, it's a creature coming back into play that wasn't paid for, so it draws off of Satoru. I actually think I really like that. Let's try. Stun counter on it. Not good enough. Invasion of Fiora. Destroy all non-legendary creatures. And then flip it, baby. Bandit. Bandit's having a nightmare. Bandit is having a nightmare. Ooh, Invasion of Amonkhet. We could put something in the graveyard that we want there, right? By milling, potentially. Yeah, that's true, Lightning. I like the idea of Amonkhet. Just all the value in the world. Just every single bit of value ever. This deck just wants all the value. Just all of it. Remember that 3-drop problem we were talking about before? Otter or rat. Draw a card. Don't think that's happening. Winter Cursed Rider. Need artifacts for that, really. Exile. Creatures at exile. Fortune. Werefox Bodyguard. There's just so many 3-drops. Why is everything a 3-drop? You want to know why everything's a 3-drop? I'll tell you why everything's a 3-drop. Everything is a 3-drop Because nobody plays 4-drops or higher anymore. That's why. So they have to make everything a 3-drop. Every single thing. All of the things. Create a token that's a copy of it. Skibbity beebity bibbity. Whenever you commit a crime, exile up to 1 target black card from your graveyard and copy it. You may cast a copy. So that would draw off of Ketramos. Casting the copy would not trigger Satoru, but it'd still be pretty cool.
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
You are correct. If Gaunty triggered Ketramos, that would be pretty sick. But it doesn't. Boo. Boo. Kaikar. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, exile a creature you control and return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. I kinda like that. We could try it. Nico would be super sick in this. Skibbity bibbity boo buddy boo. Don't you know that I'm coming for you? Oh, you know what we have? I know what we have. Oh, it doesn't exile though, does it? I was gonna say, we have a new Gear Hulk. So Possession Engine will not trigger Satoru. It won't trigger anything, will it? What I was thinking was Riptide Gear Hulk. It doesn't exile, but it gets rid of a non-land permanent, and if we flicker it, flickering it will still draw off of Ketramos and Satoru like normal. Right? And we can repeatedly use it to do all the things that are good. The land count seems solid. Yeah, we definitely need more. We need more in this deck. Just not 100% sure what that more is. Waxen, Unstoppable Plan, it's it. Search your library for non-land permanent. Mana value 3 or less. Too slow though. Good card, but too slow. Good card, but too slow. I mean, the first version of this deck is probably not going to be good enough. What about Flickering Transit Mage? Now we're talking, right? We would need artifacts that are 4 or 5 that we want to play. But Flickering a Transit Mage seems powerful. Right? Damn. Dogs are up to no good. Transit Mage seems like a really cool idea. If we have artifacts that cost 4 or 5 that we can find. What else we got? Glittering and Alright, we're going to take a look at good, rare, and mythic artifacts that Transit Mage can find. Encroaching Mycosynth. So the first time we play Transit Mage, we fetch Encroaching Mycosynth and then play it so that when we flicker the Transit Mage, we can find anything we want. That seems reasonable. We could find a Guardian of Gyaraper and play it to flicker the Transit Mage again to do it again. And then find another Guardian of Gyaraper and do it again. And draw cards off of it every single time. That actually kind of sounds awesome. It might not be good, but we could toolbox with Transit Mage. That would also be a way to dig us out of our 3-drop glut. That would actually be really fun. I don't know if it would be good. We'd have to try it before we know if it's good. But it would definitely be really fun. You're not an artifact. You turn into an artifact. Solemn Simulacrum. Dissection tools. I mean, at that point, all of our flicker cards become like tutors, right? Tutors. Very interesting. Very interesting. Exile return. Build me up, buttercup baby, just to let me down. Messing around, and then worst of all, Eternal Wanderer is pretty good. Exile an all-land permanent. Return a permanent card with mana value 3 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield with an indestructible counter on it. Well, flickering means we get rid of that indestructible counter. Doesn't seem super good. Eco seems super good too. Getaway Clamor. Destroy a creature if no other creature has greater power. And flicker a thing? Man, imagine if that was exile a creature. Be so good. The princess takes flight. Might just have to be Splash Portal because it's just 1 mana. Return an artifact or creature with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. And flicker something. What about, are there any good frogs? Are there any good frogs in these colors that have any of those crazy synergies? Leave the battlefield without dying. Draw a card. I mean, that would be good for flickering too, right? The Dowerport Mage. Stop shaking, Bo. You want to go turn the rice off? It's probably done. Not much. When it enters, tap up to 1 target creature and put a stun counter on it. No, we want things that fit in our colors that actually give us value for flickering things. Right? I don't think any of the frogs are that. I think they all pretty much have green. The Dowerport Mage could be cool. So now we got to figure out all things that are good. All things that are good. So many cards, man. There's like too many to choose from. I don't know if the Flesh Gorger is going to be good enough. It might be freaking incredible. 4, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17... Man, we have a lot of flicker stuff, huh? Alright. You guys are greedy. I think the Vindicator is greedy. Twining Twins is just not good enough. There's just like a whole bunch of cards I really want to try that are basically just one-offs right now. Let's try this version. What do we got for lands? Do we care about things being in the graveyard at all? I don't think so. Although everything does seem to be under 3 mana for the most part, other than a few like late game things. So, the question is, do we use the Surveil lands? We want white, blue, and white, black early. So we want Seachrome Coasts and Concealed Courtyards. Black, blue can come later. In fact, we don't really need much black at all. Black is kind of the splash. Let's see, if we run 4 Fabled Passages... and 5 basics, that's 9 lands towards our Verges already. So maybe we run Verges. Six Verges with 9 basics. And anything special we want to run in the colorless section. Maybe Plaza of Heroes. We got a Nico, we got an Urtai, Ketramos, Abuelo, Satoru. In fact, other than the one Invasion of Amonkhet, all of our black cards are legendary. Which is kind of interesting. So maybe one Fabled Passage. Or Plaza of Heroes. Why did I say Fabled Passage? Maybe one Plaza of Heroes. Or maybe... Where's that other card? I'm just remembering there's a cave. Pit of Offerings. When it enters, exile up to 3 target cards from graveyards. Whenever 1 or more cards are put into exile from graveyards, draw a card and lose a life. So we could play a land. We could just play a land and draw a card off of it. But it comes into play tapped, so that feels bad. Right? Doesn't that feel bad? I think that feels bad. Let's try this. Gotta craft a couple mythics, but that's fine. I kind of want to try this. It might be a complete and utter clusterfuck. Or it might end up being amazing. Alright, we're going to try one game of this. See how it does. And then call it for the evening. Invalid deck. Why is it invalid? Cancel? Did I accidentally do alchemy? Why am I in alchemy? Get out of here. Get out of here, alchemy. Alright. Here we go. I can feel it in my bones. It's gonna be a good deck. I can feel it in my bones, guys. I don't like your confirmations, Chunky. I don't like it. Let's keep. Let's start with the courtyard. You got no blue, that sucks. Really wanted to play Dowerport Mage. We'll have to scry into our blue. Gimme! No! Gimme my blue! What are you doing, bro? What are you doing to me, bro? What is this crap? Get out of here. Another land. It turned on my blue, though, so I will take it. Lannies. I guess we be mana efficient and we play Catchamos. Right? Another thing that's really cool about the gods, even though they can't attack or block, they're still creatures. You could play like fight spells and stuff. Which actually seems really interesting. Really, really interesting. Glimpsing the core. I'll glimpse your core. Show your core what's up. Why, hello. Mr. Lanny. I love how almost every card in the deck costs 3 or less, and we just happen to draw 2 of our non-3s before we even get a 4th land. Kind of hilarious. Well, there goes Satoru. There goes Satoru. That's sad. Another Satoru. Sure. Calamity and Vaultborn Tyrant, sure. Let's just, let's go to another game. This is not going to be our one game. And I'm not going to waste any more time on a game because I only have time for one game. So, let's just play another one. That was really bad luck. We were supposed to draw a 4th land before drawing a 2nd card that costs 4 or more. We have very, very small amounts of those cards in the deck. They're mostly for tutoring up. So being stuck with them in our hand and not having enough mana to do anything was very bad. We will keep this. Start with the Seachrome Coast. We will Charming Prince into a land. Get rid of the Transit Mage. It's worth it. Worth noting that we can only get white out of this right now, so we can't get double blue. Hey, what's up, Xylo? Good to see you. We're just rocking a rough draft version of a new deck. It's very, very far from finished. But we kind of have to test all the cards. Encroaching Mycosynth, which we will not be putting to good use anytime soon. But eventually we can create basically infinite tutor ability for anything in the deck. Which is kind of wild. Go for the throat. That's rude. That's just straight up rude. Scry. Invasion of Theros. Sure. Sure. We'll find Ketramos and then try to attack with our princes to flip it. One of them will probably get killed. Ketramos. Flippity flip flip. Block me, preacher. Do it. Do it, old maid. I mean, it shouldn't need more lands. The problem is we keep drawing our only 4-drops. We have like 7 cards in the whole deck that cost more than 3. And we have 24 lands. It's just, the algorithm likes to do bad things to us, and it doesn't really care about how fine-tuned the deck is. It just moves the shit to the top that it wants at the top if it wants us to win or lose. And that's that. I guess we get rid of you. The deck is not fine-tuned, but the mana base and the mana curve, to a certain extent, is. Not really much we can do, huh? You gotta try to slow him down to a certain extent. Stream's fine. Game's not so much. This deck is very, very far from finished. But we have to explore all of the different ways all of these cards interact with us, with each other, before we know where to move our focus on this deck. So it's like, there was no world in which the first version of this deck was just going to be great out of the gates. We have to figure out which of the interactions are the best and should be focused on. And there's just too many cards to try. Some of what we're doing is just way too slow. I think the Transit Mage idea needs to go. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in checking out anybody's brews. We are never going to have the mana to cast this, so you are gone. A Seachrome Coast that we can't play yet. One card in exile. He can still make us sacrifice the Ketramos to the Lily, which sucks. El Succo. Let's pass the turn. I'm gonna Parting Gust his Deep Cavern Bat and gift him a fish and get back my Guardian.
I'm tired of your secrets.
I only wish to gift a fish. So juicy, sweet. How greedy do I want to be? I'm probably going to die next turn, huh? I guess I can't be that greedy then. I really want to get Ketramos out first so I can draw cards. But I can't. You shot the sheriff. It's okay. We'll get something at least. Hey, Bleachbone Verge. We keep hitting our lands. I have a Mardu Burn deck that's just absolutely eating the ranked ladder alive, but it doesn't have any new cards in it. So it's kind of a bummer, kind of hard to make content with that. You know? This deck needs a ton of work. It just needs like a ton of work. And I don't have time to give it a ton of work, unfortunately. I have to finish the stream and go work on recording other content. Unfortunately. Repurposing Bay, Simulacrum Synthesizer deck. Yeah, that looks fun with Duretti and all that jazz. You do the what? Duretti Hulking Metamorph combo? I prefer the Jeskai version. So that you can use Abuelo's Awakening as well. On the Metamorph. You can use Rakdos Joins Up, which just always gets discarded. But I guess this is like kind of a hybrid deck, right? It's sort of like an infinite combo Duretti Hulking Metamorph deck. I guess if you have the Helm out, well, no, the Helm won't make extra copies with the Metamorph because it's never a token. I guess you just... Do you infinitely... Does the Metamorph still count as an artifact? Yeah, it does. So you just get infinite synthesizer triggers? Is that what it is? Yeah, this set is hard to brew with. I don't think it's that the set's hard to brew with. I think the problem is that we have the biggest standard format of all time. And so the card pool is super, super deep. And you would think that would make it easier to brew with. But in reality, the decks at the top are so fine-tuned and so powerful and have such an embarrassment of riches when it comes to the cards they can include in their deck list that, like, it's not hard to brew, it's just hard to brew something that can actually stand a chance in the meta. Because the card pool is just fucking huge. It's like double whatever the biggest card pool was before. And it's only going to get bigger. Not only did they increase it to 3 years, but they're going 6 sets a year that are standard legal now. Like, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like, that's my main problem. That's my main problem with standard right now. Is it's not standard. It's just baby Pioneer. It's like a baby version of Pioneer. Like, what always made standard so great and made it different from other formats was that the card pool was very limited. So, like, cards that came out that might not be good enough to see play in older formats, like, you could make work. You know? You could have B tier cards, like, end up being really good in A tier decks and doing a lot of work. You can't do that anymore. It's like you're constantly having cards come out that, like, you want to brew with that would be cool, and if we were in a normal sized standard, like, would be powerful enough to make the cut. Wouldn't necessarily be the most powerful cards in those decks, but powerful enough to make the cut, because your options would be so much more limited. And now they're just not good enough, not even close. So you don't get to play with them. It's like every set has a fraction of the cards that are playable that would have been playable in a much smaller standard format. So you're using less cards, you're using less of the new cards, and it's just a lot harder to keep up with the meta. I want them to go back to 2 years, especially if they're gonna do 6 sets a year, which I'm on the fence about, but I would rather that than 3 years. I would rather have 2 6-set years in standard than 3 years of standard. But I don't know. That's just me. This deck actually looks pretty cool. I like the repurposing bays. I'm kind of surprised you don't have more of them, though. The Monument to Endurance is a little weird. I guess you can copy it with 3 steps ahead. So it's like you're using Bitter Reunion, Sahili's Lattice, Ill-Timed Explosion, to get value off Monument, and maybe making copies of Monument with 3 steps ahead. But you're also just getting things into the yard, like Hulking Metamorph, so that you can pull them out with Duretti. I guess that kind of makes sense. And then you're just trying to combo off, usually by grabbing a Repurposing Bay. You do have to still actually find Duretti, though. Can I make one suggestion for this deck? You're going to think it's the dumbest idea ever, but I think it's worth trying at least. One Mycosynth Lattice. You can search it up with a Repurposing Bay, and it's not even a do-nothing, because it'll trigger the synthesizer when it comes in. But then that will also turn Duretti into an artifact. Which means you could sacrifice the Lattice that you just searched up to find Duretti. I think. I think you'll still be able to search it even if you sack it. Or I don't know. I guess it depends on the timing. Sacking part of the cost. Yeah, so maybe it'll already be gone and you won't be able to find it. So you'd have to sacrifice something else. And you don't have any 4-drops. So maybe that wouldn't work so well. But I mean, well, if you have a Hulking Metamorph out and it's prototyped, that would be a 4-drop. No, I'm pretty sure it's everything. I'm pretty sure it's everything, dude. The same is true for permanent spells you control and non-land permanent cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. So yeah, everything in your deck is an artifact. You're not... That's the second part. The third part is non-land permanent cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. They're all artifacts. So the Repurposing Bay can search up anything if you have an Encroaching Mycosynth out. The thing is, it does change your brew a bit because you have plenty of things to sack to find the Lattice, but you don't have anything to sack to find your 5-drops once the Lattice is out. Or the Encroaching Mycosynth. So you need to, like, make room for another 4-drop. Because you could sack, find the Encroaching Mycosynth, sack another 3-drop to find another 4-drop, and then sack that 4-drop to find Duretti. Which seems a little roundabout, but if you have other ways to make use of the Encroaching Mycosynth, if that's not the only purpose, but maybe just getting it into play, maybe there's 2-drops and 3-drops you can search up that are now artifacts that you couldn't find before. I think, like I said, I think if you actually went down that route, it would change the deck. I don't want to say drastically, but enough that it wouldn't be the same deck. So I don't think you should shoehorn it into this version, but I do think there's a version of this deck where we use 1 copy of Encroaching Mycosynth, and we put in like another 4-drop so that we can find Duretti, and maybe we put in a couple other cards that we can search for with Repurposing Bay that aren't artifacts initially that now become them. Even better if we find something that isn't an artifact but has artifact synergies, or maybe creates artifacts when it enters or something like that. But, I mean, the fact that you could search up your Duretti and that it's super easy to turn on just by having 1 in the deck you can search for with Repurposing Bay, I think those 2 things make it at least worth exploring. But for it to be good enough, I think you're going to need the Encroaching Mycosynth to be good with other things and not just Duretti. and you're also going to need 4 drops to sacrifice to find Already. I think you need both of those things in order to make it worth running. And right now there aren't any 4 drops unless you hardcast. I guess you could just choose to hardcast a Hulking Metamorph, right? Just turn 3 Synthesizer, turn 4 Metamorph, and then eventually at some point later on it just... You repurposing Bay for your Mycosynth, and then you repurposing Bay, sack the Metamorph to find Already, and you just win. That puts the Metamorph... Oh, sacking the Metamorph to the repurposing Bay puts it in the graveyard. So you grabbed Already. You just have the combo, right? If you have a Metamorph in play and an encroaching Mycosynth at the same time with a repurposing Bay out, you just have access to the combo at any time. You just pay 2, tap the Bay, sack the Metamorph, find the Already. Metamorph's in the graveyard because you just sacked it, and there you go. So yeah, if you could find just another couple cards that would make, even just one, that would make the encroaching Mycosynth relative, like maybe a Planeswalker. Like, maybe you can repurposing Bay to find a Planeswalker because it's an artifact. That seems like it could be sick. Is there a Planeswalker that would be worth finding? That seems like it could be wild. You could find Eternal Wanderer and then flicker your Already. Or flicker any of your artifacts to re-trigger your Synthesizer. But I mean, that would be a white card. I do kind of like that deck though. Now you got me thinking. Now you got me thinking. What's this one? What is this one? Manowar Elves, Storm Chasers talent. Nowhere to run Assassin's Trophy. Cornucopia. So you're ramping into Debris Beetles and then copying your Debris Beetles with Doppelgang. Does that sound about right? That's pretty cool. I like that. I might mess around with versions of these brews. And see what I can come up with. If I end up coming up with one that's good enough for YouTube, I'll credit you for giving me the idea for sure. They're both solid ideas. And if you say they've been performing well, that's pretty exciting. Yeah, the Beetle could be wild. The thing that's cool about the Beetle too is it also gains you life, right? So it's not completely useless against aggro. A lot of times, your combo pieces in combo decks, you have to like not interact with aggro in order to do the thing. Or you have to wait to do the thing so that you can interact with aggro, right? But getting your combo beasts out and gaining back some life to help, you know, stymie the aggression that you're getting hit with is kind of nice. Copy the Beetle or the Storm Chaser. Seems cool. I'm working on a mono green deck too with World Wagon. This one looks nuts. Let me see if I can find it. It's mono green, but it's not mono green. I've been wanting to just... I'm normally not that much of a mono green player, but I've been trying to... It's been absent from the meta for so long, right? So, like, lately I've felt like I have this quest to try to make mono green relevant again. And this isn't exactly mono green, it splashes blue for Sabsunin, but that's just because it's kind of free. But the idea is turn 1 Llanowar, turn 2 Lumbering Worldwagon, fetch a land. So turn 3, you have 4 lands and a Llanowar. You play one of your 5 drops, either Thrun or Sabsunin. Use it to crew your Worldwagon, swing, fetch another land, and the Worldwagon is swinging as a 5/4 with 5 lands in play and a Llanowar Elf, so 6 mana, swinging on turn 3, which is nuts, because if they kill the Worldwagon, you've got your Thrun and Sabsunin still sitting there ready to put in work. If you don't get the God plays, you've got like Flourishing Bloomkin, because the Worldwagon is just fetching forests every turn. So Flourishing Bloomkin is exponentially growing in size. You've got Bristly Bill, so that if the Worldwagon fetches, and this would actually be at 4, and the Trailblazer would be at 3. But this is just getting way bigger. Bristly Bill, putting counters on things. You could maybe add the Hydra too, that when you landfall, you double the counters, because that would be pretty wild with the Worldwagon. And then with all the extra mana, it's super easy to like Offspring a Recruit and still play something else. Just to try it out, I've got 3 Archdruid's Charms and 3 Feral Counters, but I think the final version will probably have 4 Archdruid's Charms as its interaction, because you can also search for a land, which is really, really nice. The idea is to ramp without losing any aggression whatsoever. Like, stay super aggressive, be super aggressive the whole game. Keep pressuring your opponent's life total like a mono green deck, like a mono green Stompy deck. But while that's happening, you're just incidentally growing your lands so that you're putting out way more pressure as the game goes on than you otherwise could. And since we're kind of skipping our 4-drop slots to go straight to 5 because it lines up so well with the Worldwagon, we're going to reinforce that idea with our other 3-drop. So if we don't have the Worldwagon, we play the we plot the Trailblazer, because then on the next turn we make sure we have that same line, right? We can Llanowar Elves on 1, plot a Trailblazer on 2, and then on turn 3 still play a 5-drop like we would with the Worldwagon. Otherwise, we'd have to find room for 4-drops, and it just kind of gets messy. It's better to like double down on the idea of going straight from 3 to 5 by enabling that with our other 3-drop, in my opinion. But we do have 2-drops and 1-drops to fill in if we don't get the God play. So if we don't have Llanowar Elves on 1, we've got Paw Patch Recruit. That way we can stay aggressive. You know, and if we do play the Paw Patch Recruit on 1 and we don't have an extra mana for a Worldwagon or a Trailblazer on 2, then we're dropping the Bloomkin, or we're dropping Webstrike Elite, or we're dropping Bristly Bill. Just staying aggressive. But I think it's worth trying. I don't know how good it's actually going to be in the end, but I think it's definitely worth trying. We have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15 cards in the deck can get us our blue mana, and we only need 1 for Sabsunin. I also think it might be worth pursuing like the Aether Spark in a deck like this. But it could be possible that while exploring this deck and really trying to get to the bottom of just like the best ways to use the Worldwagon, we come up with like a better deck to do some of this stuff. And it's not exactly what it looks like right now. again, we're going to need to test it and see how well it does before we know what direction we kind of want to tilt in for it. But I think there's some good ideas there. I think there's a lot of cool shit we could do. But anyway, that is going to do it for today's stream. I got to go record some Wonders of the First content before it gets too late and I'm too tired to do so. Let's find somebody to raid. I will be back on for a stream, probably a long stream tomorrow, so keep your eyes peeled. We're gonna raid... Wow, nobody's really on, huh? Ash Lizzle's on, but she doesn't really need the help. She has plenty of viewers. If you guys have somebody that you want to raid, let me know. Then we'll prioritize that. Otherwise, I'm gonna find someone that has around 50 people watching them. That looks like they could use the viewers. Isaiah? Yeah, we could do that. Do you know what's his exact name? Hold on. I don't think I've followed him yet. Oh, I do follow him. _ MTG. Close enough. You know, we usually go between 30 and 100. Just because the smaller streamers that have less people watching tend to appreciate it more. And they could use the support more, so I try to focus on that. But, yeah, I'm excited. I think over the next couple days we're going to get a lot of juicy decks flowing, so I'm excited to dig in. It's going to be good. But thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate it. Please, please, please check out the YouTube if you haven't already. There's 8 different Aether Drift standard decks on the YouTube already. All the crazy stuff that we tried during early access, and crazy ideas that I'm getting from all of the stuff that we tried or saw in early access. It's gonna be wild. So please go smack a like button on a couple videos and leave a comment telling me that I smell like applesauce or something. I don't know. Say something, because it helps my numbers. It helps my algorithm care about me and think that I'm worth something and not just dumpster trash. Alright, I love you guys. Give my love to Isaiah, and I'll see you next time. Till then, always make them scoop.